Yeah, okay, and I'm on the call. Well, it's supposed to be recording. Yes, it is recording. So we'll see. I know we have Connor. Oh, we have Connor and Jude. So just get my notes going. And we have lots of guests. So welcome to our December 16th Zoning Revision Committee meeting. Our topic today is we are talking about as a lot of people know, we had an STR survey, and the STR survey, it completed yesterday, although I know, Jude, you said that there were still a couple of responses today. I would say go ahead and include them. We have them. But did you bring the survey down or no? Jude, is the survey like brought down?
Actually know how to take it down. I thought we want to keep it there in case we need to download it again or we want to look at some of their graphs, but
Oh, okay.
just people, if it comes in after the 16th, we're just after the 15th, actually, now the 16th. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So I think if the ones, because you sent us a spreadsheet and that's official. So that's, we're not really planning to pull another spreadsheet, because once we start analyzing, assessing, pulling numbers, it can be, some of that's manual. It'll be a big job to start all over again with new results. So we'll just agree that is there any way to add a note to the beginning of the survey that says this survey is finished? So that,
yeah, I bet there is. I bet there is. I'll look into that. Yes.
Yeah. So if you can have if people do go on the website, if you could just say no longer accepting, and then people don't waste time doing it when it won't be included.
Good idea. I think I can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And I did start. Thank you so much. Well, Jude, thank you tremendously for so much with the survey to start out with, because I mean, I know that you and Connor did a lot, but then I know with getting the word out, well, you and Connor did a lot there too, but then getting the flyers out and getting the postcards out, and so thanks. Well, thanks to each of you for everything, but thanks, Jude, for getting the numbers to us and the spreadsheet. So I did start, I didn't spend, it'll take a lot of time. It needs a lot of time, but I did start out at least looking through. I know you mentioned there was a duplicate entry. I found a duplicate person, but I didn't yet go along the row and make sure, are all the answers duplicated? If all the answers are the same, then we can probably just delete the row. If any answers are different, we'll have to figure out how to figure out which answer the person meant to give.
So I found two.
Okay.
There are a number of duplications of addresses, but they're different people. I mean,
right.
But some of these are same person, same address.
Same address. Yeah.
And then I think I told you I found one person, I have to go back and find that, I haven't been really watching it too closely, but I did see one where they said they were not a short-term rental owner, but in fact, when
but the comment,
they did say they had a short-term rental. So I have to go back and see if I can find that.
Right.
So that's three of them that might, two definitely we should delete. And, I would say, some of these were coming and they would come two in a row, because I think people would submit it. And they wouldn't know that it was submitted. So I just took their first one. Because, it just seemed like that was what they intended. And then
so when you sent us the spreadsheet, if something looked like it was total duplicate, like they hit the button twice, you've already taken that out.
I took them out. It was these other ones. They didn't come up. They had maybe a slightly different version of their name, first name, last name, but it's the same address and it's the same person. I'll send them to you.
Well, I mean, I did know. Yeah, I'm not worried if you've looked at the line and everything's identical. To me, that's truly a duplicate. Because I did find the duplicate in the file that you sent. I only got kind of halfway through the file, so I didn't get all the way through to see if there's more duplicates. But the comments I had so far is I did find one where the name and address were duplicated, but I didn't check if all the answers were. If they all are the same, then I think one row can come out. And if I saw several, we're going to have a category. I mean, my thought is we will take all the answers. We'll do a couple of cuts. One cut is going to be all the answers and what were all the responses with everybody. We'll take a cut, of what did the STR owners say. We'll take a cut of what the non-STR owners say. we'll take a cut of people we couldn't validate because there were a couple of people where, you know, my answer is C and I live on 212. Okay. Yeah, we can't be, clearly they didn't want to know who it was. And one person signed as anonymous. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that we'll want to do one look that looks at everybody and is totally inclusive. But then, you know, if we can't validate, and some of those we're not going to be able to validate, you know, and that's a person's right if they didn't want to put any more information. But I think that we will have, I'd like to be able to look at it, you know, with everything, but then we'll have some categories and just see how the numbers fall out based on categories. That's my view, but it'll take some time to do that. And I think I'll spend some more time looking at it, although honestly, it probably won't happen between now and Christmas. But after Christmas, I should be able to get some time to look. Go ahead, Connor.
Here, so I wanted to sort of just kind of start, because I know we were talking about the duplicates and stuff, and I think those, as we go, you know, could be easy to suss out. But one thing I just want to bring up, I know we're all very cognizant of being sensitive with the personal information, you know, in the short term, if we want to share screens, you know, making sure that we slide down names, addresses, anything identifying. But I was going to say that you know, in our initial pass at this, if we are going to all be in this document talking about it, changing it, I think it's going to be very important, especially, Jude, if there's a risk we could lose access to the original on the survey by ending it. I kind of got the impression there's a concern about that. Either way, we just got to be really careful about, I think, document storage, you know, making sure we have maybe certain backups. Like we should have a save state of this survey as it is right now, as we received it, and then make a copy to edit. And
well, that's what I've already done. I mean, I've already on my copy, Jude sent us a copy. I've got that. And then I've made copies of it. So I'm not going to touch that because that will be there for my reference. It's not the same as having it on the tool itself, but the spreadsheet that Jude sent, I'm not touching the original that she sent me. I've made a copy, I've renamed it,
so well, what I'm getting at though is, like, at some point, because we all have a copy, right? We all have a copy is right now. We could all save our own copy that says original document, and then we're our own backup system. That's great. But at some point, you know, whether it's after Christmas or whatever, we're gonna have to come back together and start coalescing around some sort of master document. And all I wanted to bring up in sort of tandem with both of these points is that if we do start sharing this document a lot with a lot of personal information on it, you know, I want to, even in email, even in stuff like that, I think it might be prudent to choose, and I'm not saying this is the one, but like say, okay, let's transfer this Excel sheet to a Google Doc so that exists in one place, and we're not sharing and sharing and sharing.
Well, I'm not planning to share the raw data at all. I'm planning to do some analysis, you know, to pull some numbers and look for trends. So what I'm planning to do is look for trends with this group of people who have STRs. What's the trend? What are the numbers looking like with people that don't have STRs? What's the trend? What's it looking at? You roll them all together. What is it looking at? So I'm not planning to send a spreadsheet to anybody. I'm planning to send charts.
But even within the committee, I mean, like, and I'm not saying it's been a problem or anything, but I'm saying the way share documents historically has been, you might edit a master document and then send us the updated copy of it.
Yeah, I'm not planning to do, I'm not planning to do that. I'm planning to take what you sent and use my judgment, because we've already said there's at least one duplicate. I'll check all along the row. Yeah, and the whole thing about people giving their name and their address, we might be able to go call them up and say, hey, you know, you got two rows here, but one answer is different. Which did you mean to do? So, you know, if they are different answers, we can investigate. But I plan to not send any spreadsheet to anybody, because what I plan to do is do analysis and then share what my analysis is based on, which is not going to have any names on it or addresses.
All right, so I understand that, but let me just point out the specific thing that I'm then referring to. Like right now, we've shared the document once
with
across
each other,
right? So at some point, after we as individuals have some time to look at this, we're going to have to come back, and there's going to have to be a master document somewhere, and I'm imagining that time that I spend might be, like you said, maybe it could be looking into just highlighting things that, for lack of a better word, I or you or anyone might want to contest, if not for being a double, then for not including enough information or needing more verification, right? And so we'll have to have the personal information still in those documents at that point to talk to each other about it in order to essentially.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out as we go along. I'm not planning to send a spreadsheet to anybody, because I'm planning to do some analysis, see what, like I said, people that own STRs, what are the answers looking like? People that do own STRs, what it look like? People that do not own STRs, what do the answers look like? You look at the whole aggregate, what do the answers look like? And we're also going to have a category of, we could verify these names, and there's going to be another category of, we can't verify these names. Anonymous, we can't verify the name.
Exactly. But if I could, like my suggestion right now is that we consider moving to something like a Google Doc, where we have this master document and we can all be there when it's edited, hide the personal information on Zoom. But that way we don't end up with a bunch of disparate copies, not all with.
Well, here's what I would rather do. The worry about Google Docs is, we may think we've got control over who's got access, but somehow it could go out. Since Jude has been our anchor person on everybody's helped, and I appreciate, Connor, everything that you did, although I do see Jude as the anchor person. If you or I think that a row needs to be different, I think we should just get with Jude, and if she agrees, and then maybe after you and I scrub it and see if we think that some rows are duplicate or should come out, then she can send us a new copy. But I'd rather have you and I just get with Jude and have her email the three of us copies. I'm a little skittish about the Google Doc idea, but I still have the original that she sent.
Well, that's fine, because at some point, once we get through that initial vetting of the actual, like where we all agree, all four of us, that I assume that the list we have, we at least know they're all sufficiently verified that we're prepared to really audit it and say, at that point, it maybe in theory, after we sort it by certain criteria, you could take the names and addresses out and be a little bit more,
Right.
not casual, but a little.
Well, so you're thinking that we might at some point, like once we vetted it and we feel like the rows all look valid. So once we vetted it to make sure the rows look valid, you're thinking that we might share, beyond the four of us, a copy of it that has names and addresses out, and all it has is the answers?
I mean, maybe it's not a prerogative, to make it. That was not the purpose of the survey, was not to make it public. But I mean, but I think we should definitely be prepared to. I don't have a problem with it. I'm really more, concerned with us just being sensitive with it while it has the names and addresses.
Oh, totally.
And then if we get to a point where we want to share it, with anyone else, anyone, that we pull those.
The names and addresses have to come out. I agree, because I want to honor people. People did the survey in good faith, and certainly I agree 100%. We are not giving anybody any data that has anybody's name on it.
Yeah. Last thing I just wanted to add really quick, and then I'll turn over, is I was giving a lot of thought to what how we want to start kind of breaking it down. The most clear to me designation of two categories to sort of understand as representative of certain demographics are whether they do or don't own an STR. And that's not, and again, just to be clear, that is not to give anyone more or less weight as an individual submission, but to say that, that it does represent a certain demographic that is a certain size, and that we can look at all the submission. It's one way to sort of start to, I think, split this up into bite-sized chunks, because the aggregate, I guess not a concern, but we have 524, I think, submissions total.
Pretty much.
And that's awesome, right? Isn't
Yes.
it like isn't that
Amazing. It's wonderful.
I think we're what, number 2 next to the comp plan survey?
Yeah, pretty much.
Number
Yeah,
2.
524. Yes, we do.
And that's great. I don't imagine, I would be surprised if we struck, that many names at all.
Well,
but that being said, I guess, we have a certain amount of submissions who are and aren't STR owners, and just understanding, how we talk about it in terms of relation to their demographic makeup is, I think, a big important part to talk about before we start crunching.
So what do you mean by that? Before we start crunching, talk about them as a demographic. I'm not
but
sure.
I want your guys. I'm turning this over to you. I want to hear what your approaches are going to be in this. But like me, I'm probably going to separate them out by that, like section off yes versus no, sort that way, and look through them linearly. Look for doubles, anomalies. And then sort of see what the trends within each category is. You have the non-ST owner, our owner population feels, this way, this percent, like as pie graphs, the owners feel this way, because while we want to know everyone's opinion, that is to me one important, if not the important distinction to make in the type of answers we receive.
Yeah, and I think so. So what I did, I took the list, like I said, the list that Jude sent us. I made a copy, so I'm not touching the original copy that she sent, and I sorted it by name, because that's the way I'm going to see if there's a duplicate. I'm going to be looking by name, and I'll probably also sort by address. And if it looks like, as you say, you can have the same address and more than one person take it, and that's fine. I wouldn't, I would hope that if there's any row we think we're going to strike, I would hope that we would have, I'm not looking to strike any rows.
I'm just gonna highlight anything that I think is either questionable or
right.
I'm either questioning or contesting.
Right. Okay.
The only reason I would do that is if they're anonymous or not verifiable in any way. Like, I know there are certain people out of town who I can personally say, like, oh yeah, that person was a Woodstock person for 20 years and then got
right.
But other people, that's its own category. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm looking to take one cut that just takes all the that takes everything in. So we'll see. I mean, the thing about it is, it's hard to make too many decisions without really looking through it. But I am planning to, if we take everything, except for the duplicates, but except for the, if it looks like it's a total duplicate, like Jude said, it looks like somebody just pressed enter twice, and so we got a duplicate. So if there's any more in that file, except for those, I would still do one cut that looks at everything. But I think that if you believe, or if I believe that there's an anomaly, I think we should go with Jude. I want to be very careful also of the open meetings law, because if 3 of us are talking offline, that's not a healthy thing.
No, I meant like at these meetings as we catch up.
Sure. Well, I think we should do it offline. I think that we should all scrub the list offline.
Yeah.
I would ask Jude to be the focal point, that if I see issues, I talk to Jude. If you see issues, you talk to Jude. We would have to have a really good reason, in my opinion, to delete a line, but the duplicate makes sense. Somebody pressed enter twice, you can tell the answer.
You get one vote.
What's that?
Yeah.
You get one vote.
You get one vote.
Yeah.
Exactly. You get one vote. So I think that we shouldn't have a lot of reasons to scratch a number, and then as we do subsets, we'll get trends. But anyway.
Yeah. Can I just say one? I just have to say, if we do go with, I'm fine with funneling the information. I just think any decision we make to either remove or relegate something should be done on this meeting.
Okay.
That I don't think that happen offline.
In general, you're talking about generalities.
Yeah, like
I have some ideas about this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I have the benefit of looking at the report that this this tool produces, and it's not really, it doesn't really serve our purposes, but it does give some information. And one of the things that it said was it'll break down percentages. Okay. So the percentage of people who responded who have STRs the number is 30% of the people who responded have STRs.
Mhm. Okay.
So for me, I think that, I would like to see us break off STR owners, non-STR owners. And
Mhm.
then we know that STR owners in the town, let's hope it's not more than 10% of the population.
Mhm.
So when we weigh these things, we have to give them, that weight. They can't have an outsized weight in the survey because they were able to motivate people more to respond. So what I would like to see us do is break off STR owners, non-STR owners. Within the STR owners, people who live in town, people who don't live in town.
Mhm.
And then the same thing for the non-owners, people who don't own an STR.
Right.
Let's break those down. People who live in town, people who do not. And some of the people
Right.
who do not live in town, they used to live in town, or
Mhm.
maybe I don't even know. When
Right.
we, the first few days I was looking at it going, oh, look at this. And then after a while, when it started getting to be so many, I just like, okay, I'll look at it when it's done. So I couldn't
Right.
give you those
Right.
numbers, but I think, there's some ways to break that down, but definitely there has to be, we have to look at it, STR owners, non-STR owners,
Sure.
in town, out of town.
Mhm.
And then maybe we can, there were a lot of, there were a lot of really good comments, it was a lot of things for us
Yeah.
to think about. And so, I don't know how we want to, same thing, maybe we break those down so we can see this was somebody who, used to live in town, but they don't anymore. And this is what
Mhm.
they think about all of this. And these are people who live in
Mhm.
town or whatever. But that right off the top of my head, those are the 4 breakdowns I would like to see,
Mhm.
Sure.
within each other.
Well,
Would
oh,
you,
yeah, yeah.
would,
Wait,
would
STR
I,
owners, not ST, hang on, Connor. So STR owners, not STR owners, and for each of those categories, do you live in town or don't you live in town?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Other than that, I'm not sure. The primary resident question, it's subjective, right? It's like, I think I am or I'm not, and I don't know that I want to rely on that so much as maybe the address that they give. If they give us an address that's not Woodstock, then we know I'm not really sure how to do this. And I'm really pleased that so many people took the time to
I
respond.
think it's wonderful.
Really,
yeah,
It's amazing.
really
Yeah,
pleased. I thank
fabulous. It's
everybody
fabulous.
out there for doing it, because it's gonna help us get a sense of.
Yeah. Well, it was
you
a team effort getting the word out. So,
There was, and
yeah.
and lots of people really helped do that, and so that's
Yep.
great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So go ahead, Connor. I know you want to jump in.
I mean, that was pretty much it. I'm writing down, we have the in town, out of town, do or don't own STRs.
Mhm.
I'll also, when it's time to take a crack at duplicates, I like the name and address thing too. But I know I was just going to agree with the criteria.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
good place to start, and then
Okay.
maybe once we start doing it, we'll see how that looks.
Well, yeah, we'll see. So I would like to take a crack at it and just see how things sort out. But again, I have a busy week, so it won't be this week. But I think it's wonderful that we have those responses, and I do want to take a look at it. And when I get some free time, I'll start kind of sorting through all that. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the numbers say. I do see our chat comments. One person's asking, "Hey, why can't we have all the numbers?" Well, I think we need to get a sense. We need to get some comfort with it, And again, if we did share, what I plan to do is just, even if we gave it out that said, "Hey, we take out the name and addresses, and here's all the answers," we'll be working with the same thing, and maybe at some point it would make sense to share it, but we'll kind of see how that goes. So we're not making any promises yet about sharing the spreadsheet with the masses, taking the names and addresses off. But I think we need to work with it a bit first and see where we go. So
Right.
okay, so I think it sounds like all of us are going to look at it. I think that again, in my view, Jude should be the common point. If if I think that there are things that need to come off the master list that Jude sent, or Connor, if you think so, we'll go back to Jude so that she'll be the common point. And I agree kind of with what you said, that we shouldn't be, except for the obvious duplicates where it looks like they just pressed enter twice and same date, same name, same address, all the same answers. That's a duplicate to me. Except for duplicates, if we feel like we need to remove a line, which I'm not planning to remove any lines, just categorize them as I look at numbers. So, oh yeah, the number is 524. Yeah, so the number is 524. The spreadsheet has 525 rows on it, but the first row is a header. So it's 524 rows of data.
Right, right.
So I think we just need to go off and as we get a chance, start looking. Very exciting. And the answers, it'll be great to see. It'll be great to see what it tells us. I mean, I haven't digested the answers yet, so I don't know yet what it's going to tell me. But as you said, Jude, the comments, and if somebody says something smart, even if the only one that said it, it's still smart. So as you say, we have, maybe a number said this or number says that, but I'm very interested. I haven't yet read all the comments, but there could be some solutions that come out of that, out of the comments. So
right. And it's just going to be interesting for us to look at and sort.
Totally.
And I agree. Even if there is a category of, we can't really verify who this person is, that can be in a category where we're not really sure who these people are, but they did express, they did vote. They did put
we'll still look at what they said.
We'll look at it, but we have to understand maybe that it, or for personal reasons, they didn't want to.
Right. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And that's fine. But as you said, I see them in a different table, right? Here's the table of this, here's the table of that. Here's a table of, hey, the row that the person says anonymous, here's the table of that. So,
right.
Yeah. So I think we're good. And some we clearly can't verify. The person that says, they just use one letter for their whole name, a letter, and they didn't put a road number. They just put 212. There'll be a list of stuff that we're not going to be able to verify.
Right.
So, but they'll still, in my view, we'll still look at what they said, and it'll be an aggregate. We'll look at the aggregate and see what the answers are. So,
well, the beauty of having a number this large is that you can do that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not going to sway the whole thing in such a huge way that it would have, an unbalanced view.
Right, because there are very few of those rows. I agree 100%.
They really are, and it's not gonna make a big difference.
Right.
Very least to look at them, but in their own category. So, we'll figure out how to make it all obvious. I mean, it's great. It's really good.
But I was still looking to do one big category anyway, to say, hey, everybody that bothered to answer, everybody that took the time to answer, let's do that. That to me is going to be one category anyway.
Right.
So I think we're good. Do we know when we want to meet next? Because we have a brand new year coming up. And so if we kept with our second and fourth Mondays, we would be meeting on January 13th, which would be fine because it'd be kind of after the holidays. We'd all have a week or so after the holidays to look at it. So is the next meeting of January 13th a good idea?
I think so. Yeah. I think we should get back on our schedule.
Totally.
It gives us a little breathing room and recovery after the holiday.
Yay. So Connor, are you okay with January 13th? It's a Monday, second Monday of January.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think let's just really make sure we've gone over it and are ready to, hit the ground running.
Well, totally. Well, I plan to do some investigation of, analysis, summary. Like we said, I'm not planning, unless something is 100% a duplicated row, I'm planning to look at all rows and just list them in different tables based on what the we had the different categories as Jude said. So I'm planning to just kind of look at everything.
So with the people who put in 2 responses, you would just keep both of them?
Oh no, I wouldn't. If somebody's a total duplicate, same name, same address, exact same response, to me, like you said, they probably just hit enter twice. So,
but if they have a different response, you would still take both of their responses?
I would try to contact them and ask them what did they mean.
Okay.
Because we might be able to contact some people. It may be possible, it may not. But if the same name and address did the entire same row, I actually do.
I mean, I do have to say, if someone filled out the thing twice and gave two disparately different responses, at that point, I feel like you can kind of delete them. I'm sorry, but like, I mean,
but here's what I want to say is I do
yes
know
or
there's
no.
at least one case in Woodstock where the exact same name, there are two people, a father and a son, have the exact same name. So at the exact same address.
I have the same address.
Just saying. So we
Fair,
need to be,
fair enough.
yeah, but the thing about it is we may be able to call up people and say, hey, or you know, I've done plenty of door knocking as a campaigner, right? So you know, if we have a name and address, Jude's saying, oh no. But you know, I mean, we'll see. We'll just, I don't think there's, and as Jude said before, it's such a small number. There might be
Yeah,
five.
I
There might,
don't expect there to be that many
yeah, there's
discrepancies.
like five on the entire list. You know, we have
Yeah.
524 responses, it may be five. So we'll just figure out what to do. But if I could reach out to the person who had two rows, except for one answer is different, you know, if every answer is the same, to me, it looks like a duplicate. And you know, I do have access to voter records, so I can look up voter, you know, that's one way to say, hey, are there two voters at that address? That may be one way to verify if there's really two people with the same name at an address.
I gotta tell you, if it were me, I would definitely do that before contacting anyone. But that's just me.
Well, sure, yeah. So, but if you have two rows of the same name, same address, but the answers are slightly different, then if I could reach out to the person, you know, because we're trying to, you know, they took the time to respond, and we want to make sure we know what they really think. So, anyway, we just need to make decisions as we go along.
All right. Well, I mean, this sounds like a game plan to me. Probably just the only outward facing thing I'm probably going to do is just put something out thanking people for completing the survey.
Well said. Thank you notes is a very nice idea.
And just to, like, I'm just gonna post something, but I might, you know, include the total number. Just, I mean, you know, if it ends up being 520, oops, but you know, 525 submissions is an achievement. So good job.
Fabulous. It is fabulous. So speaking of which, and the last letter that went to the Hudson Valley one, I know Jude wrote it and we had all four of our names on it. I think a Hudson Valley one letter of thank you, I'm bridging off of your idea, but how do you two feel about if we put out a Hudson Valley one letter of thanks, sign all of our names to it? And like you said, Connor, saying, hey, we had 524, the zoning revision committee is assessing analyzing the numbers, and so Jude,
that sounds great.
How do you feel, Jude, about a thank you note going to Hudson Valley one?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And we have a town board meeting tomorrow night. I can say a thank you there as well.
Yeah.
Good.
So yay. Okay. So I always like to do public be heard. Is there more, Jude or Connor, that you all?
Yeah, I mean, since we're going to be taking such a long break, I got to ask, you know, what the status of the scenic overlay is. I mean, you know, this is at least the second, if not third season that we've talked about how important it is to, you know, anticipate building. And I feel like it's not a bad thing to maybe, and I mean, I don't have any real means or power to move anything, but if there is any means by which you or we can start putting positive pressure on that again, I think we really need to move it along.
My hesitation, my wish, here would be my wish, is that we would all agree, and we don't always all agree, and that we do have a disagreement about how do we phrase the ability of people to maintain their property if they've already got a clearing and they bought their house with this clearing, because that is my issue with the document as it stands right now. Is I feel like we've said to people, well, you can't touch a tree, you know, you can't touch a tree. If you touch a tree, you're in trouble. Whereas they need to be able to maintain their property. So,
well, I mean, I would challenge you on that, because we went through this when Ed was still here to include language and make it clear about, you know, maintaining your property. But I got to ask, you know, I mean, if if we do that, then there's really no remedial framework. There's no way to prove outside of drone footage, which we keep talking about requesting
Mhm.
and doesn't go anywhere. And that is,
I think it had. You had gotten drone footage when you were still on the planning board. I thought you successfully got drone footage for some.
I got drone footage of my home to give as an example from a friend.
Mhm.
I gave them those shots of my house just as a sort of reference point of how we might assess site plans
Mhm.
of a certain scope or remediation of a certain scope. And I think if we wanted to include some language that says a review can be made to contest
Mhm.
the remediation of an escarpment,
Mhm.
but we have I'm sure Judith Kerman has a wealth of
Oh dear.
Lost him.
He probably knows we lost him, so I hope he comes back. Well, just wait a minute. I'm looking at the upper right-hand side of my screen because I have to admit people, so I'm watching to see whether he comes back to be admitted.
That was weird.
Well, that was weird. He was in midstream there. That was weird. Well, Jude, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we go into public be heard?
No.
Okay. Do we have any public that wants to be heard today? And we have a lot of people on mute.
I think anything I had to address, I already said in comments, but maybe something we can discuss offline. Just, it was a larger general concern. Reading through open
let me-
meetings law.
Yeah, well, you're saying the raw data. Why not share raw data as long as anonymous? That was your.
Oh, no. More mine was, like I'm saying, larger issue and open meetings law. Stuff that would, I mean, I really,
I'm
I
looking
would
at your
rather-
comments in the chat and I'm only seeing two.
I think I said OML.
What is, open meetings law? Okay.
That's open meetings law and how it could affect an awful lot and just the nature of the way the meetings are held. And
Well, we're very aware. Everything we do is transparent. I don't think we do a thing that's not transparent.
no, that's not it. It's yeah, maybe if you have time tomorrow.
I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm not sure what the issue is with the open meetings law. We don't meet outside of this meeting. Everything we do is
Sure.
recorded.
Right. It's physical location to be provided for the public portion of oh, what is it? Let's see. It is
I'm back, by the way.
Yeah,
chapter 58 of laws of 2023. So if you want to read that portion, instead of
What law of 2023?
chapter 58.
Is that a New York State law?
It is.
You know,
Through Albany.
I think that portion of the law would apply to.
Before we're making huge decisions, that the public body maintain at least one physical location where the public can attend.
Sarah, I think that applies to, say, the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, the town board.
We are an advisory.
That's coming off. Oh, I'm muted. Am I still muted? No.
No, we can hear you, Jude.
That's coming off of the whole pandemic when everybody was allowed to meet on video conferencing. And so then they adopted, I think it was in 2022, that 3 members at least had to be present or in case of the ZBA. A
Yeah,
quorum, a
I-
quorum had to be physically present somewhere where people could attend. But I think for a board like this, those rules don't apply, that we can meet.
no, I'm not certain.
virtually.
That's why, and I'm not certain. That's why I would rather not cause,
Yeah, yeah, no,
this
I,
huge disruption and have this conversation like as a logical conversation. Can we work through this? Like, what are the repercussions if not, since we've had all these meetings all throughout time, and I'm concerned about perhaps
Look,
not the
it
whole
doesn't, it
entire
just,
office understanding open meetings law, because that was a real stink earlier in the year for me where Albany had to get involved. So like, because of threats of my recording other meetings for other, not that yours does this, but other commissions and committees with my personal device. So, I just want everyone to understand. I would like to understand more, and there are always questions, but we did have a training February 29th of this year that everyone in this town, every committee, every commission, every board had the opportunity to attend according to Bill. And shame on them if they had not, but we should all understand.
Well,
Yeah.
my understanding is the same as Jude's. There are some boards in town, including the town board, the zoning board of appeals, and the planning board. Those three boards make decisions. They independently make decisions. They are not governed by the town board. They are appointed. Well, the town board is the town board anyway. We get voted in by the people. But the planning board and the zoning board of appeals are appointed by the town board. But after they're appointed, the town board is hands off. They are making decisions that impact the people of Woodstock independently. So what we are doing in this board is, this zoning revision committee is advisory. We are not making decisions that are going to impact the people of Woodstock. We are making recommendations that will affect the people of Woodstock, but the decisions will be made by the town board. We are not the decision-making body. We are a recommendation body. We are making
It's a public
recommendations.
meeting, and I don't mean to cut you off. This is a public meeting. It's on our public calendar. You are subject to OML. That is
We
the
totally
truth.
are. We totally are.
Yeah.
And we are
You
not,
don't have a physical location, do you? I have been
everything that we
unable.
do is transparent, and I do
Yeah.
not believe, I can look
Yeah.
into this, about whether. the
Yeah, I've been unable to
location-
get into meetings before.
But I
I've
do,
noted
but we
it.
do, but we are
texted.
100% transparent. I can tell you that. Everything is
yeah,
recorded.
I
I
mean,
can tell you that.
Yeah.
another, and another
Yeah.
thing is that we are not, again, advisory committee. We are not a voting body that passes legislation or has direct impact on the town. It was determined at that point in like 22 or 23, whenever it was, that certain boards had to come back. I was on the planning board at that time when they started requiring 3 members be there. So this is, this is,
I know, and you guys
if you
are down
want,
to
if
3
I'm, if
now. I get it. You're bare bones now. I
Sarah,
know. You
I can't-
guys are bare bones,
you,
Connor. I know.
we are, and we're doing our best here, but
I
like,
know you
if you
are.
want to if you want to arbitrate that, I think you should take that to the town and the town board, because
I have taken to the
I'm-
town board, even just getting Zoom available for all. And
yeah,
I
well,
got one. I
Zoom,
got one on.
I get
one
that, but Zoom is
planning board.
available, and while it's tough to say, like, yeah, we keep these open meetings, and maybe not everyone can attend them, but unlike the town board, anyone can come do this on multitudes of devices, and even if you don't have the ability to live stream in, all of our meetings are on YouTube. It's all out there.
Yours
So-
are, but then we have one that
yeah,
is,
but
that is
that's,
Zoom
but
only,
Sarah,
and they don't even record it.
Sarah, that's all we have control of.
No,
That's
that's
all
it.
we
I
have
know.
control of
This
here.
isn't yours.
And-
I wish
and-
we would all get together, Connor.
and-
I think you guys do a great job in getting the information out to all this way. But
So-
again, I'm talking about just the other portion of things that we could discuss outside of this. And that's all I asked for initially. I
Okay.
appreciate your time
Okay.
very, very much. I
Okay.
really do.
No,
So I
Thank
think,
you,
I
guys.
think, I think we're good. We're
interrupt it.
three,
Yep.
3
I
minutes
need-
per person. I think we've had the 3 minutes, but
Well,
thank you for,
Didn't even
I-
ask for all that.
thanks
thank you.
everybody for
I-
weighing in.
I want to jump back
Exactly.
in
Thank
here though,
you all
because
for
I got
weighing in.
Go ahead. Yes.
As I was saying, this survey where we're talking before about the scenic overlay,
Oh,
and
scenic overlay, yes.
I think we really need to take some time. I'll do it right now. I mean, I'm not in such a rush to get off this call that, the the more we put this off, the more pressing it becomes. And the inaction, given how far we've come, I'm sorry, to me is inexcusable. We have resources, we have language to discuss, and I don't think we can stall this for a whole nother season. It's
Well,
not.
I can bring it up. I'm looking on my computer right now for the latest copy. So let me do that.
So,
Um,
and just to finish what I was saying, though,
sure.
Judith Kerman, I'm sure currently has access to map data from the past decade or two, at least, probably, that could be used as some kind of reference to make a case to say that there is a historical view. But what I am not, what I and I hope you're not suggesting that we just take people's word. Like, we shouldn't be saying, have someone come in and say, like, hey, this was here, and just because I bought it when it was here, that should not legalize it. I don't understand why that should legalize the act.
So,
I mean,
okay, well, anyway, I'm kind of looking for the latest copy of the scenic overlay law while you're talking, so sorry.
I get Connor's point here, which is you're selling your house, so you do a whole lot of clearing to make your view better, and the next person comes in and we say, okay, you can maintain that when it shouldn't have been done to begin with. I just don't know how you can keep track of that.
I don't think it should necessarily be a position of ours to like seek it out and go there, but if it's egregious enough that
Yeah.
it shows up on the app, or it shows up in a way that, is so public facing as it has multiple times,
Right.
then that is when, there needs to be an avenue for remediation. I'm not suggesting that we create a task force to go audit the landscape. I think basically what we need to do is, we have these records, the visual records from that Judith would had access to via, now I can't remember the map program, but it's that map program that the survey companies and stuff subscribe to. And then again, commission our own current drone photography survey, so that we can say, here it is, this is the line in the sand, and from this point forward, making I don't see the utility in making a carve out that either grandfathers or creates a some sort of loophole to do exactly what Judith said, which is say, oh, I want to move, let's make this real attractive, zip zip zip, and they sell it and they're out before you know it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so I'm looking at trying to pull stuff up here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm just going to, there we go. I think I'm getting closer here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I had open, and I'm gonna. Okay, and I will share my, well, what I'm gonna do, however, I'm going to close down so I don't mistakenly show part of my screen of the stuff we've agreed we're not gonna show. And close down a couple of things. Almost. Huh. I really. So I've got to close down a few things before I can share my screen.
Laura, are you looking at the copy I see so far? I mean, I could be wrong. It's been a long time.
Yes.
That is September 25th of last year.
Yeah, well, I have one as of June 24th of this year, because I was working it may actually have the same data as the one you're talking about, but in any event, the last copy I had made said June 24th. So I am going to share my screen.
Yeah, I don't see anything from that. So I'm going to open this one because if we've made changes that we haven't seen, let's make sure.
Yeah, okay. So so I'm sharing right now the scenic overlay law, the latest copy that I have on my computer. And
I'm sorry, what's the file name?
well, the file name of this one,
I have version 17, I think.
yeah, and this is version 20. So I had done some versions that was side by side to say what is the new one versus the old one. And version 20, I think I've been working with Judy Kerman and in any event, but it wasn't ready for prime time. I had just made different levels of the copy that I was in touch with Judy Kerman on. So anyway, so if we go scrolling along here, designed, including property, I'm just reading kind of quickly here, standards. Intent and purpose, protective historic viewscapes, construction of new houses. So you have a different construction. Construction. I'm just reading kind of quickly here. So it was on like 26066 regulations, which is the next section. Okay, and here's 66. Talks about a building permit. Okay, development. I'm just kind of scrolling down through here. So the
Most of what it has to do with tree cutting is, is in I want to say B or G. That's the strong
right, and it looks
tree
right.
cutting.
So now here's the thing. Okay, an SUP is required for approval to maintain trees and/or existing views. The planning board will make their sub-determination ensuring fire safety and preservation of the tree canopy and view shed from below and from a distance. So the issue is the maintenance. Well, I'll keep it so you can see G as well. So avoid non-essential tree cutting.
Hold on 1 second, because that is not what my section 8 says. So it looks like there's been some changes from when this was in our boards. Just give me 1 second.
Probably. Because this technically speaking left the zoning revision committee and was with the town board. And then I was working with feedback I was getting to try to resolve what I was hearing. So this officially has left the zoning revision committee and is with the town board, but I don't like finalizing things. I respect Connor, I respect you, Jude, I respect you. And so I have not taken this back to the town board yet, even though technically speaking it's with the town board, and technically speaking, I wouldn't have to bring it back to you, but I do want to before I go forward. So yes, I have been working on this without you because it's with the town board. But I am, I'm happy to have the conversations and tie you in.
But please understand that as someone who's been very personally invested in seeing this move forward, and as a citizen, having it be with the town board is like implying that things, are moving to some extent. And I don't think, I don't know if you follow the court culture, but not voting is not what we are here to do. And so that being said, I'm looking at section 8 over here, and I'm just going to really, really quickly just say what it says on my end, which is the planning board require the applicant to supply recent aerial drone footage and drone photos done by a legally licensed drone operator.
This H got added. You're reading what is I on mine sheet. The planning board may require the applicant to supply recent aerial drone footage and drone photos.
You've added, okay, so you have added a section, and that is now H. Okay. And
correct.
To improve existing trees, to maintain existing trees and/or existing view. I mean, that's, I think, the best we can do. If you've added that and that's a hang up, I'm curious, Jude, at what you think. But like, if it's the difference between having this move and not move, I will lay discretion at the planning board when they have these resources to compare recent aerial survey from the historical survey, that they will make the appropriate choice. And and this won't be a frivolous or easily fooled process.
Yeah. So there's a whole H. There's the red part as well as the black part. I didn't know if you'd read both parts.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I actually can't see it in the color because I am on black and white on this.
But you're reading there's a part that's on page 4, and then there's another part on page 5.
Yeah.
So you're reading both parts of H.
It looks like it was probably added, but yeah, I'm reading the whole thing.
And it was so this was talking with Judy Kerman. It was why at this point it's actually been a while, so I'm pretty sure I was talking with Judy Kerman because I had spoken to Judy, because if it's an SUP, as you know, Connor, that means the planning board has to get involved. So if it's an SUP, and so, but we're trying to find some way, what is the way that property owners will be able to still maintain their property? And Judy seemed to think that an SUP, that the planning board was okay with that. So so if they get an SUP, then they're on record that they're able to do their maintenance.
But the idea here, and I'm trying, it's a little hard to read, but like I'm just going to read it out loud, please. With a special use permit acquired for property maintenance, property owners will be permitted, with the advice of a forester that they have hired. I mean, do we want to just say licensed forester? I mean, forester, I don't know, feels a little loosey-goosey. But that being said, to preserve the building envelope, that area that was approved for the property, maintaining a clearing around the building to comply with fire safety. I mean, and implement selective cutting that will enhance the health of the forest and resulting forest canopy. That all sounds very reasonable, and it doesn't sound like, and please, Judy, but correct me if I'm wrong, because my concern here is when I hear like maintaining a view when you bought it. Now, is there language in here that says something about the time of sale being a sort of grandfathered cutoff factor?
No, I can tell you that there's nothing in there that said that. But the worry and the point that was brought up by people was, what about fire? There was a document that was shared around that said, you're not supposed to have trees really close to your house. If there is ever a forest fire and you have trees right next to your house is definitely going to go up too. So there was a document that talked about how much footage there should be around your building so that you have cleared without trees.
Well, I think, and really, I mean, I don't know if you added anything else to this, but what I have is section G, I think covers that. Like if you scroll up a little bit and look at section, it's subsection G, I'm sorry, right above H, just right above where you are. Yeah. The minimizing of tree cutting. I mean, to me, again, if you add this language, it gets even a little more granular, which I'm fine with, but
Mhm.
non-essential tree cutting shall be understood to mean no fundamental impact on the buildability of the lot, the personal safety of owners or visitors to the property,
Right.
or the of existing structures. And I think that blankets that type of conduct.
Right. But then we
I-
go on to say, hey, you can get an SUP that gives you some latitude. So you get the SUP, and then now it's defined what are you going to do to maintain your property. Once the planning board approves it, then you know that you're not going to jail when you maintain your property.
Because yeah, it's a little bit more work to do, but like this is not the whole town of Woodstock. This is people
Correct.
like me. This is going to apply to me, and I want it to be rigorous.
Yeah. Right.
You know, what do you think, Jude?
I think that if you're good with it at this point, it's going to be a compromise, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you have?
I mean, it's just like to be able to get some control on what's going on, mainly on Overlook, I think is really the big problem.
Yeah.
I was driving down 375, I don't know when, and I looked up and there was a great big white building, and I'm like, boy, I don't remember seeing that before. So just to be able to get some control and have the law has some teeth would be
Yeah.
really good. I think maybe moving it forward is the way to go, and maybe the compromise has to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the beginning of this, the proposed development shall include these measures. And then, so, yeah. So this, but again, this does give, it just gives, people can breathe. I mean, to have it be, again, avoid any non-essential tree cutting. Because like I said on a previous one of our calls, you have a maple tree and it drops 300 seeds, and then you got little maple trees springing up. Well, you're going to pull them out. But the way this reads, you can't pull out, if a tree is, if it's not going to damage your property, you got to leave that thing. I mean, you got a lawn, you want to keep your lawn. So,
well, I mean, we are talking about, again, in the escarpment, in the view shed.
right.
And I do think the planning board's discretion here, again, the purpose is and the language all over the document is in support of protecting that view shed. And
Right.
again, having maple trees growing, in your yard where your kids play is something about safety. Building a lawn where there is a forest and saying this is where my kids play
That's a different thing, right? Yeah.
And there are many ways, you can do a tango with a real estate agent to make that, seem like it was baked in. But,
Yeah.
Personally, and again, as a citizen, I want to see this move through. I am petitioning you, as it were.
Well, how about, Connor, why don't I send this document to you so you can do one more read through it just to get your comfort level that there's nothing else in there that changed. There's a little bit of red here, which I know that's the new stuff, but as you point out, the copy you have doesn't even have any part of H at all, of what's H here now.
Yeah.
So why don't I send this to each of you and you just confirm back to me that you're okay with the way it looks right now. I will send it back to Judy Kerman from the planning board to have the planning board weigh in and just, like you say, see about moving it along.
All right, I'd like that a lot, and I'm sure I can get through it in the next week or so, and then pivot to back to STRs, because I'd like to see this get back on the collective lap of the town board.
It sounds good. Sounds like a plan. So I will send it to you right after the call. So
Thank
you. So,
right.
so we're doing public be heard, and we heard from Sarah. Did anybody else of the public want to? And let me stop sharing my screen. Did anybody else of the public want to say anything before we close the call?
Hi, this is Heather. I just wanted to thank you guys for doing the survey, and we're looking forward to seeing the results. I know some people had trouble completing the survey. And I think like anybody who submitted it more than once, it was probably just like they didn't know that it had gone through. I don't think anyone was doing anything malicious, because I did hear from a lot of people who said like, how do I know if it got submitted? And I was like, I don't know. And I have some other comments like that I'll just send you guys by email from people who were having trouble with the survey. But I'm looking forward to hearing more about it next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. And that causes me to think of a quick question for Jude. Jude, are you aware of, did we have copies at the town clerk's office? Do
Yeah.
we know if anybody did a hard copy response?
I think, actually, now that you mentioned this, I think somebody mentioned to me that they thought somebody gave one to Jackie, but I never thought, Jackie wasn't there when I was in the office, so.
Right. I can ask Jackie, because given that you have the spreadsheet, if they did a hard copy, it's easy enough to put the answers in the spreadsheet. So
Yeah.
I'll ask Jackie if any hard copy.
Yeah.
Hard copy responses.
And I did have those comments from people too, that sometimes it was not maybe the most ideal tool ever, but it is what the housing committee used. It's what the youth center people used, and they were all
Right.
professionals. So I thought, okay, they were
Yeah.
paid professionals. If
Well,
that's
well,
what they were using. And I
so-
think the fact it was protected, it was going to be kept private. It wasn't big. The data wasn't going to be sold, which
Right.
often with these things. So, so that was a good reason to choose it. And I do think it was maybe a little clunky in some ways, but I think it served its purpose.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So all good. And thank you. Thanks, Jude. And thanks, Heather.
Just to put it out there, I did hear about some people having issues. I tried to help a few people out most of the time. I think it was issues with Safari, and maybe other particular web browsers, probably older machines. And
Right.
when they use Chrome, it was fine.
Okay, good. That's a good point. So, okay, all right. Anybody else of the public want to be heard? Okay, so we know our next meeting is January 13th, 6:30 p.m. We will, I know that, and again, so Connor and I, if we have, as we scrub the list, if we see anything beside, if it's a total duplicate again, clearly we can delete it. I can check my voting list and see if there's anybody who is a duplicate. Are there two names in the voting list, but there's only one situation of that I know of in all of Woodstock. So anyway, but then we're gonna each do our own kind of analysis and be ready to share kind of what we believe when we come back again in January. So
Sounds great.
okay, thanks everybody. We're happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. And if you celebrate nothing, I hope you enjoy your time anyway. So if you celebrate, I hope you enjoy. And if you don't celebrate, I hope you still enjoy. So we'll be talking in the new year, if not before.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you soon. Happy holidays.
Bye.